New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Why, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time you're watching. Welcome to Your Doula for Grief. And my name is Bonnie Gonzalez. I am a grief coach, a registered nurse, a religious science practitioner, and a soul collage facilitator. And just so delighted and enjoy to be with you again today. If this is your first time watching, I say welcome, and just know that you have come to the right place at the right time to start your recovery, your journey, recovering from grief. And if you're returning, I am so honored. We're friends by now. So thank you for coming back. And I say this, I want you to make this hour about you. I want you to be involved in this dialogue and in this discussion. So please drop a comment in the comment box, or if you have a question, put that there. And just want you to know that my whole purpose and goal is really to bring grief out of the shadows of our lives and right into the middle, right smack dab in the middle of our lives, opening it up for discussion, removing some of the charge off of it, taking the stigma away from it, and embracing grief. It's a vital part of life. There's no way around grief, that's for sure. The only way to handle grief, if you must say, is to move directly through it. The only way is to be with it and move through it. And I just want you to know, when you hear grief, the word grief, it's not just about death. And of course, my hat is off to death. That is the great equalizer. That is the greatest loss that we could experience. But what I want you to know, that grief is just caused by loss, and loss shows up in a myriad of ways. We have loss of deep relationships. We have loss of jobs, loss of housing, or lifestyle change, health diagnosis, aging, geographical moves. There's so many things that puts us into grief. These are losses that then put us into grief. And grief is just the natural emotions that we experience in relationship to this loss. And it could be anger, frustration, oh my goodness, even numbness, a lack of focus, sadness, of course, sadness. And sometimes even joy, because sometimes we have grieved for what's called anticipatory grief. We've grieved before the loss occurred, just knowing that you're going to be moving. For instance, you start grieving the loss of connections that you have where you are, the losses of places that you normally go to and groups that you usually interact with. So sometimes that anticipatory grief, that when it finally does happen, can almost be a little freeing. So anyway, we're just going to have a great discussion today, but I just wanted to clarify loss and grief and just let you know that grief is caused by loss. But today we have just a wonderful, wonderful topic that we're going to be discussing. My tongue's getting away from me. We have a great topic today, and it's traumatic grief. How to recover from traumatic grief. And we have a trauma expert that's here with us today, and that is Sue Cacibauda. And Sue Cacibauda is the CEO and director of Hansa Wellness Center, and she is a student and has been studying for a long time, just continuing to grow and evolve with her studies with Brennan modality of healing. So I want to bring Sue on and so that we can get started and have plenty of time for discussion, because I know how quickly time goes by once we start talking. And Sue's going to give us a presentation on trauma recovery. So Joe, if you could bring Sue on, that would be great. Oh, there's Sue. Welcome. Thank you. I know I kind of breezed right through that and wanted to get you on as soon as possible, because the hour just goes by so incredibly fast that I didn't want to miss a minute. But you have such a long and rich bio, such a oh my gosh, an involved history, that I thought maybe I would allow you to share those parts of yourself that you would like the audience to know about.
Oh, thank you, Bonnie.
Welcome, Sue. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. And thank you, Joe, for being in the background there, for making us look good and sound good. So I'm also a registered nurse. That's my background, and massage therapist. And more recently, I am a Barbara Brennan healing science practitioner. And so that's what brought me to this subject of trauma. And I was asked to do my senior paper. I'm a student now in year 2 of the advanced studies for Barbara Brennan School of Healing. And so I did a research paper on trauma and trauma recovery, and how does Barbara Brennan skills and healing fit into recovering from trauma. So what I was going to talk about today is what is trauma, why research it, what's the incidence of trauma, the causes, how it's diagnosed, and the treatment, and specifically how can Barbara Brennan healing science be used in trauma recovery.
Right. And I just wanted to ask you that before you move forward. How long have you been studying with the Barbara Brennan School?
Well, this is my 6th year. It's a 4-year program for the undergrad, and then the 2 years of advanced training. And I'm about to graduate in June.
Wow! Congratulations. That is intense.
Yeah.
It shows your devotion and dedication to this work. So,
it's changed my life. It's really changed my life.
I was going to ask, did you use Barbara Brennan's therapies for your own personal recoveries? Or
absolutely, that's exactly that. Part of what I was going to cover is the core qualities of trauma. What are the positive effects of trauma? And what helped me the most. And then I'd like to close with my transformational song that I wrote as a result of doing this research, and really my own transformation.
Oh, righty. Well, I will just let you continue, and I will only interject if I have a burning question or some clarification that I think would be helpful for all.
Thank you. So I presented this to my class and also to the Barbara Brennan School of Healing in the UK.
Wow.
Because there's schools all over the world. And how I started this presentation was to use one of the dimensions of Barbara Brennan's work, and they're called the 4 dimensions.
Oh.
One is core star, and that's what we come in with into this incarnation. We come in as pure essence. It's our God self. So we can tune into that now as we listen. And then from our core essence, we go into our dimension of intention. And if you just do a little process with me, you can put your little bird beak fingertips right in your belly button, pointing towards your spine, and just use that as an anchor, as your place of power and strength. And imagine a red laser beam of light dropping down from your center of gravity, your place of strength, all the way down to the center of the earth. Dropping it like an anchor. Allowing yourself to connect deeply with Gaia, Mother Earth. It's the one note that holds us in place on this planet. And so moving from the core of the earth back up to the center of gravity, right where your fingertips are. And then moving your dominant hand, fingertips up to your high heart, right in this little raised area of your chest. And this is called the soul seat, or our soul's longing. So what might be your soul's longing for hearing this presentation about trauma recovery? What do you need in this moment to bring yourself into a clear intention? And just allow that to come. And connecting it to your place of power, right below your belly button, and all the way down to the center of the earth. And then raising your dominant hand above your head, from the soul seat up above your head, to our higher self. Just call it the higher self. And aligning above and below, all along what's called the Hara line, that place of intention. And so you can just relax your fingers, your hands down into your lap, and just allow that intention to come clear to you as we talk about trauma recovery and how you might recover from traumas that you have had in your life. So what is trauma? It's an emotional response to a terrible event like an accident, rape, or natural disaster. Being overwhelmed and unable to respond in a way that restores us back to our safety and well-being. And long-term trauma ends up as PTSD. And so unless it's diagnosed and treated, it ends up to be PTSD, where we have flashbacks and we get triggered and we go right back into that trauma. So why did I research trauma? I knew as a child, I was raised in an alcoholic home. And so there was a lot of trauma, a lot of chaos. And I came to Barbara Brennan's School of Healing to heal my sense of separation from myself, small s self, and my big S self. I wanted more connection with spirit, but I was blocked.
Mm-hmm.
And then world events have really affected me. The earthquakes, the floods, the fires, the pandemic. It's like I just got triggered by all those events, like many of us. And so I wanted to release that trauma that's been held in my body, held in the cells and the muscles and the tissues. And I was curious how other people coped with trauma. Bonnie, would you like me to discuss how prevalent trauma is, the incidence of trauma?
Yes, and I was going to ask a question, but I wanted to wait because I wasn't sure if you're going to go over the symptoms of trauma in the body.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I would just say continue because I'm just making notes.
Okay.
Making notes of what I'll ask. I mean, and if anything else comes up, please and let me know if there's something you'd like to discuss.
So the incidence, the research for Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has shown that 60 to 75% of people in North America experience a traumatic event in their lives. 1 in 5 Americans was sexually molested as a child. 1 in 4 was beaten by a parent. 1 in 3 couples engage in physical violence. 1/4 of us grew up with alcoholic relatives. And 1 out of 8 witnessed their mother being beaten. I actually feel that in my chest now as I speak it.
Yeah, let's just breathe. That's the best way to move through anything is with breath. Don't try to rush through it. Don't try to constrict it.
Right.
Or restrict it.
Yeah. So causes of trauma, there's many. It could be bullying or harassment, physical or psychological or sexual abuse or assault, being in a car accident, childbirth, a life-threatening illness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, loss of a child.
Yes.
Being kidnapped. War, of course, which we're experiencing through the media. The war in Ukraine. Childhood neglect, that was a big one for me. An unsafe environment, just to name a few. And so let me see if I have symptoms right here. Yeah, the symptoms are, I'm going to actually go to my notes here. Some of the emotional symptoms are denial, anger, fear, sadness, shame, that's a big one, confusion, anxiety, depression, numbness, guilt, hopelessness, irritability, and difficulty concentrating. So those are the emotional symptoms, but the physical symptoms that land in our bodies are like headaches, digestive problems, fatigue, racing heart, like having an anxiety attack, sweating, chest pain, difficulty breathing. And I'll just share, this might be a good place to share. My trauma really showed up as, I would say, irritability. I just was so cranky all the time. And I really didn't know why. So now that I have done this work, now I understand myself so much better.
Right.
Oh, Miss Cranky Pants.
Yeah, I was going to say, and a lot of these symptoms that you've described are results of trauma, but I guess the main characteristic is that you can't understand why. It's like, why am I just so angry? It's like, let me breathe. It's like, but I'm still angry. A lot of these are emotions that you have that you want to move away from, but you can't, and you don't know what's really causing. You don't know what's really causing those emotions to show up and to show up at inopportune times.
Right, we get triggered. We get triggered by something that brings up that past event, and what was in the past gets triggered in the present.
Yes. And can I just say one thing about that? I was doing a workshop with a friend, and it was like, well, I don't want to really bring up that subject because I don't want to trigger people. I don't want, and this was a minister person, and she said, Bonnie, you never know what's going to trigger someone. And if someone gets triggered, that is the time for them to know that they have work to do and to be available for them if that happens, and if they want to really resolve that, uncover that, but not feeling that you are the cause of them being triggered, that there's emotions there that haven't been defined, haven't been dealt with. So that's what we're doing here, Sue.
Yes, exactly.
To say, oh, I am triggered, help me.
So that's the work really that I've done is, so what happens when I get triggered? What do I do? And that's some of this Brennan healing science work that I've learned to really recover in the moment. When that trigger happens, what is the healing response for me right now? So I'll just go over how trauma is being diagnosed now. Is usually a person goes to either a therapist or a doctor and says, I'm anxious, I don't know how to deal with this. And then an MD or a nurse practitioner they check for drug use to see if the person is using, or if they're using alcohol or any drugs.
Yes.
And also they check the thyroid. Because somebody with a low energy or depression could have an underlying medical condition. So they'd want to rule those things out. But trauma is actually a class of mental illness as a stress-related disorder. And it's actually listed in this manual of diagnoses called the DSM-5, and it's published by the American Psychiatric Association.
Yeah, that psychologists used, yes.
So that's how insurance companies reimburse based on that diagnosis. And of course, they'd want, a medical doctor would want to send you to a trauma specialist or to a psychiatrist who can prescribe if that's needed, or like another kind of therapist, a special therapist that's a trauma therapist. And they also, an MD would also rule out other medical disorders. So that you'd want to get a baseline.
So you're saying you do want to get a medical checkup?
I would start there. Now, personally, that's not where I started, although I was diagnosed with low thyroid just based on an office visit. Wasn't what I went in there for.
Right.
But truthfully, I fell asleep waiting for the doctor, and the doctor thought I was on drugs.
You were nodding off.
Really, I think it was low thyroid, but it was also depression, undiagnosed depression.
Right.
It was just, I didn't have any life force. I didn't have any energy in my body.
Right. I did want to just take a minute to say hi to Megan out there. She says, hello, ladies. So thank you, Megan, for joining. Megan's a dear friend right here in Ahihi, She's in
Really? Oh my gosh. Oh, I'd love to meet her.
Yes, you will.
Really love to meet her.
Yeah. Yes.
So there's lots of treatment options. I have a list of them. Like I said, therapy, trauma therapy specialist. There's cognitive behavioral therapy. But what is kind of the up and coming, instead of talk therapy, although that's helpful, there's a therapy that's more body-based.
Somatic work.
Somatic work, and some of my research was with the doctor, the PhD that wrote the book, The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh my goodness. I'll just put a plug in for that. Yeah. That is a must read. You don't have to be a therapist or a medical person. It's just a great book to read and goes through so many wonderful modalities of healing.
His name is Dr. Vander Kolk.
Yes. Yes.
And his work is just profound.
Yeah.
Very profound.
Mm-hmm.
But also what I'm learning, though, in Barbara Brennan is the training that I've just recently, I'm in right now, is called Brennan Integrative Therapy.
Okay.
And body, mind psychotherapy that is also incorporates the spiritual.
I do appreciate
because really when we have trauma, we separate because that's the only way we know to stay safe is separation. So we separate from our bodies, and we, in Brennan's work, it's called the schizoid defense. We actually leave our bodies.
Yeah. Right.
And stop connecting to ourselves.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And you're not even aware. You're not even consciously aware of what's going on. That's the part that is so, well, I know we'll get to that. But that is the beauty of our, mind-body responses to really keep us safe and whole and able to move through daily life. And we don't even realize that this is going on, but that's the beauty, to help us maintain a sense of sanity.
So one of the things that's really helped me, one of the treatment options is embodiment meditations.
I'm sorry, I muted myself. Yeah, it's a little noisy outside. You say that again. Embodied meditation?
Embodiment meditations.
And you will explain that now, right?
I will, because I've recently, I would say since I did this research, I've been listening to tarabrock.com. You might put that in the comments.
Oh, see if I'll put it in the private chat, and then Tara Brock.
tarabrock.com. It's TARA.
Brock.
BRACH.com.
Yeah. Okay.
And she does embodiment meditations, and they're all free. It's on her website.
Yeah, she does.
But it really helps connect. It helps you slow your breathing down.
Right.
Mindfulness breathing is another treatment option. Exercise. There is Reiki. There is EMDR. That's another therapy for trauma.
Yes.
What helped me a lot is having contact with others, connecting. And especially with COVID, we couldn't connect in person. So even having contact on Zoom was helpful.
Right. I'm going to put another one in the chat. I know you said EMDR, but what about EFT, emotional freedom technique, tapping?
Yes, that's part of the EFT. And since we're there, I'll just talk about this. Let's see. There's another therapy called, let me see if I can find it on here.
Okay.
It's called IFS, Internal Family Systems.
Oh, you're bringing all the heavy ones in today. That's another one that's really effective.
Yes. And then in Barbara Brennan's work, the things that we do the Brennan integrative therapy brings in just being able to sit with the client and listen. Me as a therapist, my presence, listening, my embodied presence, being with the client one-on-one, whether it's in person or on Zoom. And what I'm doing is just listening with compassion, providing a clear, a safe space, providing clear, safe boundaries, and focusing on the individual's area of concern and needs. And then go ahead.
Oh, no, I'll let you continue. And then
So what I do as a therapist is listen to my inner guidance as well. So I have skills, but I also use my inner guidance to listen to what is needed, listening to the client and listening to my higher self as well.
Right.
And what's really important is for me to be fully present and grounded and connected within myself so that I'm not up and out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. You can't help someone else until you help yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's a specific treatment, a hands-on treatment in Brennan's work. It's called a chelation.
Chelation?
Chelation.
Okay.
And what that does, it's actually starting from the feet, hands-on, moving up the body and allowing the energy to flow from the practitioner through the practitioner into the client to balance their energy field. And what the client feels with that, it really aligns and settles down their nervous system. Because the energy knows where to go.
Yes.
So the practitioner isn't pushing energy in or pulling anything out. They're just allowing the energy to flow.
How does that differ from Reiki? I'm sure I hope most of the audience knows Reiki, but if they don't, you can Google now. You don't have to wonder about anything. But I just wondered how that differs, or is it similar? It's an enhancement of Reiki. What you're referring to is
thank you. Thank you for the question. When I've been asked what's the difference between Barbara Brennan healing science and Reiki, my answer to that is 4 years of training, intense training, working first on myself and going into my wounding, and then working with the other, and then working with the divine. And each one of these are a year in process work. So, and then bringing this work out into the world. So the hands-on and the energy are pretty much the same. It's all done with intention and in collaboration with the client. But it's using the energy from the divine and using the energy from the earth, allowing it to come through the practitioner's hands
Yes.
to the client.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
I just have an affinity for hands-on healing. That's
Mhm.
just my
Yes, for
that's
sure.
that's my love. I won't even say my preference. I'll say that's my love, hands-on healing.
Yes, to receive it. People often ask, well, what will it feel like? How will I feel after I have a healing? After I receive a healing? And what happens in the central nervous system is it goes from holding on and constriction to expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens in trauma is fight, flight, or freeze.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
that's all my body knew how to do. My
Yes.
body didn't know how to do the expansion part.
Yes.
And so working with a practitioner to actually receive those hands-on treatments in a safe, trusting relationship, quiet, meditative environment was probably the most healing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Receiving the work. Let's see, working with a Brennan healing practitioner, like a professional practitioner, what they do, like I said, they do body-mind psychotherapy. We do process interventions. That's the difference with Reiki. I don't know that they do process interventions.
With Reiki,
Mhm.
well, I can only speak for myself. I just did like the first attunement. I don't know what happened
Okay. Yeah.
at fourth or fifth.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's 3 attunements. I'm not sure after that. I can only speak for that.
Yeah.
And I studied a system called a Genshin Do,
Mhm.
a type of a hands-on healing that's energy work. And it's following, if you have ever gone to an acupuncturist, there's acupressure points, and those points is where they would put an actual needle into that point. But with Genshin Do and acupressure, you hold the point.
Mhm.
And the idea is that that is more effective even than an acupuncturist, because the acupuncturist has to be right on the point. But with acupressure, as long as you're within 2 inches of the point applying pressure. And I don't want that to stop people from going to an acupuncturist. If you are getting acupuncture treatments, want to explore it, I say by all means do. But I don't think, I mean, when I received the training, there was no actual, there was all about holding the points and what you feel, but there was nothing like verbally interacting with them, where as to what's going on. I remember getting this acupressure treatment, and they were holding what's called a meridian. The person was holding those points. And it was so viscerally true for me that, as being a nurse, and you're a nurse, I'm a nurse, and you know what a chest tube is. So the person was holding those points for the lung meridian. And I said to her, I woke up out of this twilight, like, be careful, there's the chest tubes there, they're draining. So it just shows you how effective, that confirmed for me at that point how effective hands-on healing, how effective, how beautiful, and how effective, not just beautiful, but truly effective.
Right. So it's holding those points. And that's what in Brennan, our hands are on not so much the meridians, they're more on the chakras.
Ooh, I like that.
Aligning the chakras and letting those chakras open up, because in fight or flight, they constrict and close, and then the energy cannot move, gets stuck, especially in trauma.
Exactly.
So why would you go to a brain?
I was just going to say, Anne, do you have any sensation of what's going on in the body as you're holding those chakra, as you're
Oh, thank you for that
holding
question.
the energy for those chakras?
Well, when my hands are on a client, I'm not only tuning into what's going on with them, but as the practitioner, I'm tuning into what's going on with me.
Yes, yes.
And I may not feel what's going on with the client, but I may feel a constricted area in my body, or what Barbara Brennan calls high sense perception. It may come in as an image, a smell, a taste. So for instance, say a trauma. Let's say somebody was in a fire. I may smell burning.
Wow.
Burning during the treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And the client may not have shared that. But I
Right.
would be curious about that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe ask, have you ever been involved in a fire?
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Or smoke. Are you sensitive?
Smelling it. Mhm.
And I was just going to add and have you speak to this as you're holding the chakra point. When I would do Jinshin Do, there are points that you hold for different flows. And initially, when I would start, I would always think, "Am I not on the point because I don't feel anything?" But after a while, you become very confident, and you just wait, and you can feel when that shift happens. Your fingers, you actually feel the pulsating of those points, because the energy is no longer constricted, or that area is no longer constricted. There's expansion and there's flow. So
right. And you feel it. You feel it when it opens up.
yes,
There's an actual sensation of maybe heat. And what also came to me as you were saying that is there may be spirit guides that come through, and the sensation you feel is nothing from your hands, it's from the guides. And so being open to receive guidance.
yes.
And then feel it. It's really amazing. I want to just get to the core qualities of trauma, because this made such a difference for me.
And this is the core qualities?
Core qualities of trauma. Like, what are the benefits of trauma?
Oh, yes. I enjoy. Yes. Okay.
So what came through for me.
Like, what is there to enjoy about being traumatized?
Yeah, right. And I actually had to Google this because I thought, what the heck does that mean? What are the core qualities of trauma? What's good about trauma? What could be good about it? But what I realized really for me personally too is that I feel like I'm more resilient. People that have gone through trauma are very courageous. They're strong. They're resourceful. They're perseverant. They can have positive emotions now that they've cleared some of this and experience some of the wounding and the the experience of doing their work. Acts of kindness, empowerment. That's one of the program's goals here is empowerment.
Wow. Empowerment.
Yes. Having more increased personal strength, appreciation for life, emotional intimacy with partners and family, because people with trauma isolate or they put up the shield. They just want to hide.
Right. But because you've been there and you've moved through it, now you can have deeper relationships.
After you've done some work, but
yes, you have to do your work. Exactly.
And then improve sense of spirituality and life purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It's like not all this, it's not all darkness. There is light.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'll just share what helped me the most in doing this work is naming it. Naming the trauma. Naming that I had trauma. I knew intellectually that I had it, but I never named it. So acknowledging it, feeling the emotional pain of childhood neglect, sexual and emotional abuse, recognizing my defenses, putting up that wall, leaving my body when I didn't feel safe, and identifying my needs because I didn't get my needs met.
Exactly.
And then giving myself the healing response. And the healing response, a lot of it is identifying it, naming it. And a lot of my trauma came from my ancestors.
Oh, that's, you know, so we have to do another show.
Really.
On how those traumas are held in our DNA.
Yes.
Some of it, it's that we don't even know why we have it. And I don't want to complicate an already complex topic.
Right.
That's why I say another show. We'll delve into that, how trauma is carried from our DNA. Yeah.
I'll just also, I just want to acknowledge receiving support and from my practitioner, my Brennan integrative practitioner. I worked with her twice a month on, you know, my triggers, my wounding, my emotional responses. She listened. She was fully present for me to process the trauma. I have a prayer partner that I work with, my beautiful Reverend Marjorie, who I dearly love. And of course, God and gurus, my spiritual teachers and guides. And another thing that's really helped is to move the trauma out of my body is to use movement, dance, yoga, exercise.
Oh my God.
Take that stuff out, get it out.
Yes, and I know even for grief, there's yoga poses for grief to help grief move through the body. Exactly. So no movement, you're so right. Movement, dance. Yes.
Yeah, and then just I got advice from a Brennan graduate that helped me so much, and he said, just take one step at a time. That's what all the 12-step programs are. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step.
Yes.
Lao Tzu said that. And then the applying Barbara Brennan healing work in my life. Not just working with clients, because I got to start here with me first.
Right.
And Barbara Brennan says our wound is our greatest gift. So we really need to go into the wound to get through it.
Yes.
And not bypass it spiritually. We have to feel it to heal it.
Exactly.
We really do. Because otherwise it's hanging on.
If you can feel it, you can heal it. These emotions only come up when you can feel it. So knowing that if it's come up, it's not the time to tamper it down. It's like, let's invite it in. But I do want to say this, not doing this work alone. Just not.
For sure. Oh, that's so key. Thank you for saying that.
You cannot do this alone. I'd like to say this, that yes, you can't do this work alone, but what you can do is you can have some like immediate tips or tricks that you, not even tricks, but modalities, activities that you do in the moment. But for those to be effective, I want people to know you have to start to get in touch with yourself to know what those those emotions are like, and to be able to identify it and recognize it when it starts, not when it's full blown, because then you just have to ride the wave. But if you can start to be in tune and in touch with yourself enough to know, oh, I feel it come, yes. Oh, when I get that sharp pain in my back, or when my shoulder blades, tighten up, that's the time to do, EFT, the tapping, our horror exercise that you showed us.
Exactly.
Yep. That's the time. Waiting till it's like, has overtaken you. That's a little bit late, even though, yes, breathe. I always say breathe through it. But
actually, another tip that would be useful, asking yourself, where am I feeling this in my body? And I usually feel it in my gut first, in the third chakra, right below the breastbone. And then I go, okay, I'm feeling tight there. What's going on? And then I actually place my hands there. And then I take a deep breath into my hand.
Okay.
And then I may just connect down to the center of the earth, connect all the way down, get some support from Mother Earth, know that I'm not alone.
Exactly.
And just allow that support to come up and be here in my third chakra. And then what I notice is it just starts to relax.
Yes.
Very helpful.
That's a beautiful
So
one.
I have a little closing song. Do you want me to sing my song?
Yes, I was going to share another technique to be.
Okay.
I was just going to share this, and it's an old one, tried and true, and been around for a long time. And I'm trying to remember where I picked it up. But anyway, when you feel that, say it's anxiety, you feel it start to rise, and it's, oh, my breath is getting a little shallow. Oh, just see a stop sign, STOP, a stop sign, a red stop sign. And the S is for, of course, stop, but the S is for smile. Imagine every cell in your body smiling, you're smiling. If everything's smiling, it's hard to give in to anxiety. So imagine every cell smile. And then the T is take 3 deep breaths. So let's do it. 1, another, and one last. And then the O is what you just said. Observe in your body where you're feeling this, whatever it is for you, anxiety, feeling fearful, intense rage. Where are you feeling it in your body? And bring some awareness to that body part. Breathing into it, sending it more smiles or more love or whatever you need to do. And then the P is proceed. So,
wow, that's a great tool. Thank you for that.
So that's one you can use, and I've used it so much now that I just see the stop sign, and I'm not even going through the 4 acronyms. But
really, when you said stop, that's the recognition piece, and the T is taking time to breathe. And really, when you smile, that opens up the 5th chakra.
Oh,
5th chakra is right here.
Yeah, your throat. Yes. Wow. Well, I didn't know that part. See, I learned something with my own show. Hey.
So do you want me to close with my song?
Love for you to close with your song. And then we'll do some credits and those kinds of things.
Okay. So this song really is from Ernest Holmes' tagline, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, which is Center for Spiritual Living's tagline. So I changed it up, but I want to give Ernest Holmes credit. So this is the song that I wrote after I did my research, and I've done all this trauma work on myself. So it's to Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And it's about 3 minutes long. Okay.
Oh, let me settle in. I'm going to get a glass of water. No. Get some popcorn.
So change my thinking, change my life. Yes, I can light the light. Look inside and what I see, a precious child meant to be. Change my thinking, change my life. Yes, I can light the light. Listen to the voice I hear. It is spirit, oh so near. Change my thinking, change my life. Yes, I can light the light. Open up to what I feel. It's so scary to reveal. Change my thinking, change my life. Yes, I can light the light. Painful feelings, let them go. Respect yourself, you didn't know. Change my thinking, change my life. Yes, I can light the light. No more trauma, no more fear. Core star hara, oh so clear. Change my thinking, change my life. Yes, I can light the light. Chakra color shining bright. Every level filled with light. Change my thinking, change my life. Yes, I can light the light. Hope and wisdom being well. Life force flowing, no more hell.
Ugh.
Change my thinking, change my life. Yes, I can light the light. Hallelujah, thank you, Lord. Where'd I be without my sword? Change my thinking, change my life. Yes, I can light the light. Slaying dragons, not aware. All I needed was to share. Change my thinking, change my life. Yes, I can light the light.
Oh, encore. Okay, I'm going to send over that recording contract tonight. Oh my goodness, Sue, thank you so. Is there any last words or any advice that you would like to leave our listeners with? That's dealing with traumatic grief. It's that type of grief that just over your life. Yes, anything you'd like to leave?
I think you actually hit on it, and it was really profound what you said, is to not do this alone. Don't go through it alone. We can have that light in our life, but if we're living with darkness and we haven't done the work, it just, it puts the light out, or it has that potential for us not fulfilling our life purpose of being the beautiful souls that we are.
Yes, yes.
So I would say reach out,
Yes.
ask for help, get a referral, ask your ministers, ask Bonnie. Bonnie's got resources.
Yes.
I have resources too. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask Joe to put up your contact information again. Joe, can you put up Sue's contact information? Hansa Wellness Studio, and Sue is the owner and CEO. And for people like Megan, can come right in person if you're here in Ajijic. Oh, Sue, my goodness, Bonnie Gonzalez, I can't believe you forgot to ask this. You do remote work as well, correct?
Oh, for sure.
Yes, because not everybody is here in Ajijic, Mexico. People are all over the world. So please contact Sue. If you didn't get her contact information, you can contact me. It's just Bonnie@yourdoulaforgrief.com. Bonnie@yourdoulaforgrief.com. And I'm also a grief coach, and Sue does a beautiful hands-on piece of actual hands-on healing, which I feel it's just vital. It's just vital. Don't knock it until you try it.
Really?
You can find me at yourdoulaforgrief.com if you didn't get Sue's information. But I just say do this and do it now. You owe it to yourself. You're a beautiful light here on the planet, and I just want to see your light shine truly bright. So you do that for you. You do that for you.
You're worth it. You're definitely worth it.
Yes, you are so worthy, so worthy. Thank you so much, Sue. We're out of time. Sue, thank you. And you're going to come back, and we're going to do that part on DNA, trauma on DNA.
Yeah, that's about ancestral cord healings, yes.
Ancestral cord healing. Oh, I like that. We'll have another show. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for having me on. Thank you, Joe.
And hang around backstage, okay?
Yep. Be glad to.
Ciao, ciao. See you next week. Thank you.